Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ. This is the Fantasy Football Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks. Make sure you guys download the app, hit the link in the bio, check out prizepicks.com, sign up using promo code MMN, and you guys will be set up for success because they're matching up to $100 on your first deposit. That's literally free money, people. So go do it now. It's not too late. So today's show, we have a great show, week 4 recap, where I'm giving you the studs and some duds, and we're going to be talking about the injury recap. Unfortunately, that is the least, thing I want to cover, but we have to get the injuries out of the way. Then I got some early looks at some waiver wire guys that are on the wire right now that you could be picking up and have some good weeks ahead of you. So let's jump right into it. So let's start with the dessert, the stud muffins, those guys that were going out and balling today. No Cooper Kupp on this list today. It was a horrible outing out, in LA versus Arizona, and you won't be hearing any Rams players on this stud muffin report. So let's start with Cordero Patterson. We need to start taking him serious, man. 34 fantasy points, first of all, 3 touchdowns, and he's leading the Falcons in fantasy points. This is nuts to me. Cordero Patterson needs comeback player of the year or breakout player of the year. He needs some type of award this year because this is insane. He is literally becoming a start and forget guy week after week. He can do it all. He's running the ball. He's catching the ball. I don't know. Is he the water boy, when the defense is out there? I don't know, but Cordero Patterson is doing it all, and he's definitely a lock in a lot of flex positions moving forward. I definitely got some shares of him in the early, week 1, week 2, so I definitely feel as though if you see him on the wire, which is very unlikely at this point, but if you do see him, because he's not up there in the high 90% yet, but there is a chance in your league. If he's out there, go get him. Go get him, put him in your lineup, and you will be set up to bring home the gold. So the next stud muffin. This is crazy because in a lot of my leagues, I had to face Tyreek Hill. He exploded today for 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's 42 fantasy points, depending on the format you guys are playing in. But man, Tyreek Hill blew up today. He put up a 3-pack on my head in a lot of leagues where I'm just like, I'm going to bed now. This was a 1:00 game, and I'm like, I'm going to bed now because there's no return. There's no coming back. So that was not fun to face Tyreek Hill today. And if you ended up having Tyreek Hill in your lineup, congrats to you, but I do not like you. But moving on to the next stud muffin. Now, Sam Darnold, man, he showed up and showed out. Even though the Panthers lost, I definitely think, Sam Darnold moving forward, he's definitely a guy you can have on your roster. You can definitely have him in your starting lineup. 2 touchdowns today. And listen to this, 2 rushing touchdowns also on top of that. And he is leading the league in rushing touchdowns, people. He has 5 for the season. And I only see him doing a little bit more than what we expected, in the offseason. But moving forward, he looks like a guy I could put in my QB1 position going forward. And I definitely think, Sam Darnold missing CMC. Hey, we got Sam Darnold wheels. I don't have a cool catchphrase or a cool name for him yet, but Sam Darnold has definitely shown that he could use the wheels. And the Adam Gates curse is broken, and Adam Gates shouldn't even be allowed to coach, a women's basketball team or a high school team. Nothing. He shouldn't be able to do anything. He should not be able to coach anything. And I'm sorry, he falls in that category of never getting a job again of Jeff Fisher. So moving on to another stud muffin. Now the next stud muffin, man, I've been screaming this for the last year. Deebo Samuel is not to be messed with when he is healthy. He is a complete all-around good wide receiver, man. 35.7 fantasy points, and I definitely want to emphasize on his stats, man. The 12 targets. He is the leading target last week, and I definitely think, 8 catches, 2 touchdowns. He's doing it all, running the ball in. It doesn't matter. Deebo Samuel is legit. He is going to be a guy that is going to explode week after week, and I have a lot of shares of Deebo Samuel. So I'm sitting here happy, but some people in the offseason were telling you to draft Brandon Ayuk. Yeah. Oof on that. So there was no Brandon Ayuk news worth mentioning. Today he only had, I think, 1 catch. So, yeah, Deebo Samuel putting that stamp on that he is the true wide receiver 1. So Now, unfortunately, we had to move to some duds. Some guys that just didn't show up today. It was just like, were you guys on the bus? Were you guys in your city? Were you guys home on the couch? I don't know, but these guys did not show up. So Miles Gaskins, man, I do not understand why the Dolphins wanted to lean on Malcolm Brown to be the lead carrier. Not that he did anything on the ground either, but I'm just saying, man, Miles Gaskin only had 2 carries for 3 yards. That is embarrassing. That is not anything, worth in the fifth round price tag that he had on him. And it's like having a fifth round ADP, supposedly being the lead back, the workhorse. All these things were all coach talk in the offseason saying they're going to ride with Miles Gaskins. And we did not see that, last week. And I definitely feel as though Miles Gaskins moving forward, you're going to have a big question mark on him. You're not going to be able to put him in starting lineups and be comfortable. You're going to be stressed the entire game. So 2 carries, 3 yards is a little alarming. I'm not sure if he got hurt. I'm not sure, if that was the game plan to have Malcolm Brown more involved. I'm not too sure. But moving forward, it's going to be a big question mark, and I don't feel safe with my Gaskin shares right now. Yeah. So moving on to Odell Beckham. Came back last week. He put some fantasy points on the board, but completely shat the bed. He shat the diapers, shat the bed, shat all over the floor. 5 points is what we got out of OBJ this week. So I definitely think, 2 catches, 7 targets. That's looking like there's a chemistry problem going on. I understand he was out with injury, so therefore he didn't have that much time, to build with, Baker in the offseason, et cetera, et cetera. But 7 targets, 2 catches, this does look like a chemistry thing other than the talent or, saying Baker's not playing well, et cetera, et cetera. They came out with a dub today. But what I'm saying really is that Odell Beckham, I think we need to just pump the brakes on him, putting him in starting lineups. We need to just let him just be great on the bench because we already went like 3 weeks without him or 2 weeks without him. So it's kind of like there's no real high demand to throw him in starting lineups or anything like that. But again, you guys do what you want. You guys drafted him. You deal with that headache. I'm the big advocate of don't ever touch Odell Beckham. But hey, I got to speak for the people who do have shares of Odell Beckham. It's just not looking good, man. It's not looking good. I really feel like, Wyam is key here. So it's good that he gets the 7 targets, but it's the chemistry. It's the timing. It's like little mental mistakes between Baker and Odell Beckham. And I just don't want to deal with the headache. I don't want to overthink it, man. Like, I don't want to put Odell Beckham in my starting lineup on a Sunday and then have to worry about, all 4 quarters if he's going to be able to catch the ball. So, again, Odell Beckham is a stud, talented wide receiver. Baker is a good, manageable quarterback. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out, but I'm just not going to be sticking around trying to figure it out. So, moving on to Travis Kelce. Man, this was alarming, man. I was kind of like, yo, I hope he didn't get hurt, but he didn't. He was in the game. He had 6 targets, 4 catches, but 23 yards. So 6.6 fantasy points. Not looking good from, a guy that's going in the first round. But again, I don't think this is anything to be worth being alarmed about, like not, trading Travis Kelce or trying to bench him or anything like that. Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. He just had a bad game. I definitely think, the Eagles had a good game plan to lock him up. The 6 targets were, basically, normal targets that he'll see a volume of week to week. It was just that he just wasn't getting crazy yardage. Like he wasn't giving us no yak. He wasn't getting any red zone looks and stuff like that. But again, we just chalk it down to a bad game and move on. Travis Kelce is still one of the top tight ends. He still remains, a start and forget when it comes Sunday. So not too worried about that. So let's get into some veggies. I do not like veggies. I've said this before. I'm not a veggie guy, but I got to talk about the injuries, man. The injuries are literally the worst part about this show. Now, injuries, they come and go. Some people are, injury prone or just unlucky. That's what it really comes down to. But jumping into David Montgomery, man, he had himself a stud muffin day as well, but he was taken out of the game with a knee injury. He's getting testing for MRIs, depending on the time you're watching this. It could be, tomorrow, it could be tonight, et cetera, et cetera. I definitely feel as though David Montgomery is going to miss time because the knee injury didn't look good. He was limping like hard body once he got off the field. And I definitely think it would be worth noting that, Damian Williams might be an early waiver wire pickup, but we'll get into that later. But Dave Montgomery dealing with a knee injury, and then we're jumping into the Broncos game. Teddy B was taken out. Teddy Bridgewater was taken out. Concussion. I'm pretty sure he'll be in concussion protocol. Drew Lock came in and stunk the place up. Will Fuller, he also had a hand injury as well. Oh my God, he's injured. Pretends to be surprised. But Will Fuller went out with some type of hand injury, didn't return back to the game. Jimmy G, calf injury, took him out in the first half. We got to see a lot of Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't look terrible. He looked good. He was making some plays on the ground, a couple duck balls, little wobble balls, but hey, he was able to find, Deebo Samuel wide open for a touchdown. So that's definitely comforting, giving him confidence moving into, the further weeks if, Jimmy G is going to be sidelined with this calf injury. So no real update on that. Just all these injuries are fresh. So I'm pretty sure most of these guys, they will miss some time, or you'll see them next week. So Teddy Bridgewater will possibly be the one that I'm talking about that would be back next week with concussion protocol. He has a lot of time to go. So I definitely think he'll be fine. Hopefully Drew Lock does not remain the starter moving forward. Please get that man out of there. So let's jump into some waiver wire pickups, some early looks, some guys you need to be looking at, putting on your roster, dropping the bums, dropping the bench warmers, getting these guys on your roster because they've been producing. So let's jump into some tight ends that are available on the wire for you. So Dawson Knox, I think we need to start taking him serious, man. He had a day today, 2 touchdowns. I definitely think Josh Allen is trusting him more. I definitely think Josh Allen is being able to find him in the red zone, being able to not exactly lean on Diggs so heavily. Even though Diggs had a good game, he doesn't have to force the ball to Diggs because he has other playmakers out there. And Dawson Knox is stepping up. So with a 49% roster exposure, yeah, you need to be going to get him if you can. If you're streaming tight ends week to week, or if you're in a situation where your tight ends aren't panning out, or where you're just in a rough spot with the tight end position, go ahead and pick up a Dawson Knox. I definitely have belief that the volume is there for him. He's seeing more targets after 2 weeks. So I'm definitely thinking, the usage, the target share, it's going up, man. It's definitely going up. So Dawson Knox is definitely an ad. Next up, Dalton Schultz. I've been talking about this man for the last year on Real Deal Fantasy YouTube podcast. So I definitely think, he is worth picking up. I definitely am a fan of Blake Jarwin, but Dalton's just simply playing better. He's getting more targets. He's 38% roster exposure right now, so he is available on the wire. He is somebody you need to be taken serious moving forward. Dak is finding the man in the middle of the field, and he's finding him in the end zone as well. So, hey, Schultz definitely needs to be on your roster added. Next up, Max Williams for the Cardinals, man, he is finding a way to get involved every single week now. The last 2 weeks, he's been lighting it up to where we're like, oh, whoa, who is this guy? So 4% roster exposure. I definitely think he's worth a look. He's definitely a red zone threat as well. I definitely think teams are locking up, D-Hop. They're trying to find a way to take him out of the game. So we're not seeing all the red zone targets going to D-Hop. So it's nice to see Max Williams stepping in, showing up and showing out. So with a 4%, very low, 4% roster exposure, you should be able to pick him up pretty easy. So I'm pretty sure this will be the last week you could probably see him at 4%. I'm pretty sure that's going to bump up because people are trying to find the latest tight end that's going to pop off. So I definitely think, he's worth a pickup. Let's move into some wide receivers. Khalif Rahman for the Detroit Lions, man, 2% roster exposure. The targets are there. He is going to be a target for Jared Goff. He's looking like a solid, reliable target as well. So I think, he's worth a look. But also next up, my dude, AJ Green needs to be taken serious. He was able to find the end zone against my Rams. Tough loss, still a little fresh, tear down my ear, but down my eye, man. What's going on? Anyway, AJ Green, 38% roster exposure. He is looking like the guy to be the number 2 wide receiver. So him and basically D-Hop have the same target share, people, going into this week, 18%. AJ Green needs to be taken serious moving forward as a solid wide receiver 2, plug and play for the flex position. Because you got to remember, these bye weeks are coming in. These bye weeks are coming in at week 6, so therefore AJ Green on your bench should be a nice plug and play one of these weeks. When you have a guy out, you need guys that are not bench warmers. You need guys that can show up when the name is called. So I would love to have AJ Green on my bench waiting for these bye weeks to kick in. And then AJ Green comes in, puts out like 16 points, which is fine. I mean, if you look at the last 4 weeks, he capped out at like 6 targets, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, the last 4 weeks. So I'm looking at it like, this is legit volume. Like, this is something I can deal with, as a flex. So I definitely think AJ Green with that 38% roster exposure needs to be picked up. Now, moving on to Damian Williams for the Bears running back. Now, Monty is likely going to miss some time. I'm going to say, I don't want to be like jinxing it, but like at least 2 to 3 games. It didn't look that serious, but it did seem serious as soon as he started limping off the field. So he's liable to miss time. So I'm just going to lowball and say like 2 to 3 games he'll miss, but hopefully it's nothing more than that. I definitely think Damian Williams is worth the pickup. 13% roster exposure. You need to be jumping on him now if you want that Monty volume that Damian Williams brings. He definitely brings some looks out of the backfield, catching passes, etc. So he is a must grab at this point. So next guy I got from the Thursday night game, Samaje Perine, 28% roster exposure. Joe Mixon dealing with an ankle injury. He could have missed some time as well, a week or two, but he has a lot of time to rest up. But I'm still picking up Samaje just in case Joe Mixon does misses the next game, because the volume can be there for Perine definitely going into next week. So if Joe Mixon's likely to miss extended time, Perine, 28% roster exposure. What are we doing? Go get him. Go get him. So that wraps up another great episode of the Fantasy Football Picks and Bets. And again, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment below on what you guys think about the episode, man. Let me know what you guys think about my jersey. Is it fly? Is it loud? I love it. Manchester United fan. Hopefully you guys like the episode. And please download the app or check out the website, prizepicks.com. Sign up using promo code MMN, and you guys will be set up for success. They're matching up to $100, people. Free money. Free money. Go get it, people. So I'll see you guys next week for another great episode. Peace.